The Pilgrim's Progress by John Bunyan. Produced by Living Peacemakers. 2023. Chapter 7. Evangelist. And now he began to be sorry that he had taken Mr. Worldly Wise Man's counsel. And with that he saw Evangelist coming to meet him, at the sight also of whom he began to blush for shame. So Evangelist drew nearer and nearer, and coming up to him, he looked upon him with a severe and dreadful countenance, and thus began to reason with Christian. "What dost thou here, Christian?" said he, at which words Christian knew not what to answer, wherefore at present he stood speechless before him. Then said Evangelist further, "Art not thou the man that I found crying without the walls of the city of destruction?" "Yes, dear sir, I am the man." "Did I not direct thee the way to the little wicket gate?" "Yes, dear sir," said Christian. "How is it, then, that thou art so quickly turned aside, for thou art now out of the way?" "I met a gentleman so soon as I had got over the slough of despond, who persuaded me that I might in the village before me find a man that could take off my burden." "What was he?" "He looked like a gentleman and talked much to me, and got me at last to yield. So I came hither. But when I beheld this hill and how it hangs over the way, I suddenly made a stand lest it should fall on my head." "What said that gentleman to you?" "Why, he asked me whither I was going, and I told him." "And what said he then?" "He asked me if I had a family, and I told him. But said I am so loaden with the burden that is on my back that I cannot take pleasure in them as formerly." "And what said he then?" "He bid me with speed get rid of my burden, and I told him it was ease that I sought. And said I am therefore going to yonder gate to receive further direction how I may get to the place of deliverance." So he said that he would show me a better way, and short, not so attended with difficulties as the way, sir, that you sent me in. "Which way," said he, "will direct you to a gentleman's house that hath skill to take off these burdens." So I believed him, and turned out of that way into this, if haply I might be soon eased of my burden. But when I came to this place and beheld things as they are, I stopped for fear, as I said, of danger, but I know not what to do. Then said Evangelist, "Stand still a little, that I may show thee the words of God." So he stood trembling. Then said Evangelist, "See that ye refuse not him that speaketh. For if they escape not who refused him that spake on earth, much more shall not we escape, if we turn away from him that speaketh from heaven." He said moreover, "Now the just shall live by faith. But if any man draw back, my soul shall have no pleasure in him." He also did thus apply them. "Thou art the man, thou art running into this misery. Thou hast begun to reject the counsel of the Most High, and to draw back thy foot from the way of peace, even almost to the hazarding of thy perdition." Then Christian fell down at his foot as dead, crying, "Woe is me, for I am undone!" At the sight of which Evangelist caught him by the right hand, saying, "All manner of sin and blasphemy shall be forgiven unto men. Be not faithless, but believing." Then did Christian again a little revive, and stood up trembling as at first before Evangelist. Then Evangelist proceeded, saying, "Give more earnest heed to the things that I shall tell thee of. I will now show thee who it was that deluded thee, and who it also was to whom he sent thee. The man that met thee is one worldly wise man, and rightly is he so called, partly because he savoureth only the doctrine of this world. Therefore he always goes to the town of morality to church, and partly because he loveth that doctrine best, for it saveth him best from the cross, and because he is of this carnal temper, therefore he seeketh to prevent my ways, though right. Now there are 3 things in this man's counsel that thou must utterly abhor. 1. His turning thee out of the way. 2. His laboring to render the cross odious to thee. And 3. His setting thy feet in that way that leadeth unto the administration of death. First, thou must abhor his turning thee out of the way, yea, and thine own consenting thereto, because this is to reject the counsel of God for the sake of the counsel of a worldly wise man. The Lord says, Strive to enter in at the strait gate, the gate to which I send thee, for strait is the gate which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. From this little wicket gate, and from the way thereto, hath this wicked man turned thee, to the bringing of thee almost to destruction. Hate therefore his turning thee out of the way, and abhor thyself for hearkening to him. Secondly, thou must abhor his labouring to render the cross odious unto thee, for thou ought to prefer it before the treasures in Egypt. Besides, the King of glory hath told thee that he that will save his life shall lose it, and he that comes after him, and hate not his father and mother and wife and children and brethren and sisters, yea, and his own life also, he cannot be my disciple. I say therefore for man to labour to persuade thee that shall be thy death, without which the truth has said thou canst not have eternal life. This doctrine thou must abhor. Thirdly, thou must hate his setting of thy feet in the way that leadeth to the ministration of death. And for this thou must consider to whom he sent thee, and also how unable that person was to deliver thee from thy burden. He to whom thou wast sent for ease, being by name Legality, is the son of the bondwoman, which now is, and is in bondage with her children, and is in a mystery this Mount Sinai, which thou hast feared will fall on thy head. Now, if she with her children are in bondage, how canst thou expect by them to be made free? This Legality, therefore, is not able to set thee free from thy burden. No man was as yet ever rid of his burden by him, no, nor ever is like to be. Ye cannot be justified by the works of the law, for by the deeds of the law no man living can be rid of his burden. Therefore, Mr. Worldly Wise Man is an alien, and Mr. Legality is a cheat. And for his son Civility, notwithstanding his simpering looks, he is but a hypocrite, and cannot help thee. Believe me, there is nothing in all this noise that thou hast heard of these sottish men, but a design to beguile thee of thy salvation, by turning thee from the way in which I had set thee. After this, Evangelist called aloud to the heavens for confirmation of what he had said. And with that there came words and fire out of the mountain under which poor Christian stood, that made the hair of his flesh stand up. The words were thus pronounced: As many as are of the works of the law are under the curse. For it is written, Cursed is every one that continueth not in all things which are written in the book of the law to do them. Now Christian looked for nothing but death, and began to cry out lamentably, even cursing the time in which he met with Mr. Worldly Wiseman, still calling himself 1,000 fools for hearkening to his counsel. He also was greatly ashamed to think that this gentleman's arguments, flowing only from the flesh, should have the prevalency with him as to cause him to forsake the right way. This done, he applied himself again to Evangelist in words and sense as follows: Sir, what think you? Is there hope? May I now go back and go up to the wicket gate? Shall I not be abandoned for this and sent back from thence ashamed? I am sorry I have hearkened to this man's counsel, but may my sin be forgiven? Then said Evangelist to him, Thy sin is very great, for by it thou hast committed 2 evils. Thou hast forsaken the way that is good, to tread in forbidden paths. Yet will the man at the gate receive thee, for he has goodwill for men. Only, said he, take heed that thou turn not aside again, lest thou perish from the way when his wrath is kindled but a little. Then did Christian address himself to go back, and Evangelist, after he had kissed him, gave him one smile and bid him Godspeed. So he went on with haste, neither spake he to any man by the way, nor if any man asked him, would he vouchsafe them an answer. He went on like one that was all the while treading on forbidden ground, and could by no means think himself safe, till again he was got into the way which he left, to follow Mr. Worldly Wiseman's counsel. Chapter 8. Goodwill. So, in process of time, Christian got up to the gate. Now over the gate there was written, Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. He knocked, therefore, more than once or twice, saying, May I now enter here? Will he within open to sorry me, though I have been an undeserving rebel? Then shall I not fail to sing his lasting praise on high. At last there came a grave person to the gate, named Goodwill, who asked, Who is there, and when she came, and what ye would have? Here is a poor burdened sinner. I come from the city of destruction, but am going to Mount Zion, that I may be delivered from the wrath to come. I would, therefore, sir, since I am informed that by this gate is the way thither, know if you are willing to let me in. I am willing with all my heart, said he, and with that he opened the gate. So when Christian was stepping in, the other gave him a pull. Then said Christian, What means that? The other told him, A little distance from this gate there is erected a strong castle, of which Beelzebub is the captain from thence. Both he and them that are with him shoot arrows at those that come up to this gate, if haply they may die before they can enter in. Then said Christian, I rejoice and tremble. So when he was got in, the man of the gate asked him, Who directed thee thither? Evangelist bid me come hither and knock, as I did, and he said that you, sir, would tell me what I must do. An open door is set before thee, and no man can shut it. Now I begin to reap the benefits of my hazards. But how is it that you came alone? Because none of my neighbors saw their danger as I saw mine. Did any of them know of your coming? Yes, my wife and children saw me at the first, and called after me to turn again. Also, some of my neighbors stood crying and calling after me to return. But I put my fingers in my ears, and so came on my way. But did none of them follow you to persuade you to go back? Yes, both obstinate and pliable, but when they saw that they could not prevail, Obstinate went railing back, but Pliable came with me a little way. Why did he not come through? We indeed came both together until we came at the Slough of Despond, into the which we also suddenly fell. And then was my neighbour Pliable discouraged, and would not adventure further. Wherefore, getting out again on that side next to his own house, he told me I should possess the brave country alone for him. So he went his way, and I came mine, he after Obstinate, and I to this gate. Then said Goodwill, Alas, poor man, is the celestial glory of so small esteem with him that he counteth it not worth running the hazards of a few difficulties to obtain it? Truly, said Christian, I have said the truth of Pliable, and if I should also say all the truth of myself, it will appear there is no betterment betwixt him and myself. It is true he went back to his own house, but I also turned aside to go in the way of death, being persuaded thereto by the carnal arguments of one Mr. Worldly Wiseman. How? Did he lie upon you? What? He would have had you for sought for ease at the hands of Mr. Legality. They are both of them a very cheat. But did you take his counsel? Yes, as far as I durst. I went to find Mr. Legality until I thought that the mountain that stands by his house would have fallen upon my head, wherefore there I was forced to stop. That mountain has been the death of many, and will be the death of many more. It is well you escaped being by it dashed in pieces. Why, truly, I do not know what would have become of me there, had not Evangelist happily met me again. As I was musing in the midst of my dumps, But it was God's mercy that he came to me again, or else I had never come hither. But now I am come such as one as I am, more fit indeed for death by that mountain than thus to stand talking with my Lord. But oh, what a favour is this to me, that yet I am admitted entrance here. We make no objections against any, notwithstanding all that they have done before they come hither. They are in no wise cast out, and therefore, good Christian, come a little way with me, and I will teach thee about the way thou must go. Look before thee. Dost thou see this narrow way? That is the way thou must go. It was cast up by the patriarchs, prophets, Christ, and his apostles, and it is as straight as a rule can make it. This is the way thou must go. But, said Christian, are there no turnings nor windings by which a stranger may lose his way? Yes, there are many ways but down upon this, and they are crooked and wide. But thou mayest distinguish the right from the wrong, the right only being straight and narrow.